Welcome to the Answers Yes podcast, where we interview some of the most interesting people that have said yes to opportunities in their life. We hope that through these stories, you can learn to create your own destiny by saying yes along the way. Join us as we explore the new series covering topics such as passion, integrity, and hard work. I'm your host, Jim Riley, and I hope you enjoy these interviews as much as I do. I believe that everyone has an important message worth hearing. Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Answers Yes podcast. Another great morning here in Montana. You know, I started running again. If you guys have been following me long enough, you realize that I used to be a Spartan competitive racer. And the last few races I did were on the ultra level, which were 30 plus miles and over 60 obstacles with Spartan. So I started running this week, and I realized it's hard. And not only was it hard back in the day when I was doing it, but it's harder to get back into it. So we're always looking for inspiration to do what we do. I was actually inspired by Cameron Hanes' latest book, Endure. And if you haven't seen it or read it, I would suggest getting it. And, you know, business is a lot like that. And it's about enduring and learning and realizing that it can be hard. But at times, there are people that will cross your path that are able to help and provide the guidance because we've been there. And today my guest is William Bill Gammon, and he's the owner and founder of Gammon and Associates. He's an accomplished senior executive, advisor, author, mentor, coach, and thought leader with over 50 years of experience. So, Bill, I wanted to welcome you and thank you for the time you're giving us today to learn a little bit about your background and who you are and how you can help others.
Thanks, Jim. It's an honor to be with you today and to share some thoughts with you and your listeners.
Yeah. You know, you got a lot of years in business, and I would love just a little recap of maybe where some of those years started for you way back when and how things transpired as you worked your way through your career.
Well, I'll give you a quick overview. Back when I was in high school, my junior year, or at the beginning of my junior year, my father asked me to go live in the Philippines with him. He was the general manager of a textile firm. I lived in a little town called Danville, Virginia. Never left the state. Got on a plane in Baltimore, United Airlines jet, flew out to San Francisco, spent a week there, and then got on a Pan American egg beater 4-engine plane to go across the Pacific and spent the next year in the Philippines with my dad, and I went to the American school there. And one of the friends I made was named Manolito Diaz. And I played chess with him just about every day. I had a tough time winning because his father and grandfather were both grandmasters. So losing teaches you something. So by the time I came back, my senior year of high school, I could play the entire chess team all at once and not lose a game. And what that taught me was you can learn things and master them with a good coach. And that was a lesson I'd take with me through life. When I finished high school, I went to an aeronautical school out in Kansas City, and I found a job with United Airlines. It wasn't a job I wanted, but it was the company I wanted because the people of United, known as the Friendly Skies at the time, had impressed me as folks I wanted to associate with. And so I started out on a ramp at Kennedy. And over the next 18 plus years with them, I went through several different jobs. An inside job planning weights and balances at Kennedy within 6 months. And then a station agent at Raleigh-Durham and an industry agent down at Pensacola, Florida at Naval Air Station. And from there out to Fort Riley, Kansas, where I ran an office there. And then back into United Airlines corporate as responsible for sales and marketing in Iowa and Indiana and Illinois in the Midwest there. And at the same time, I was a sports rep. And so I got to travel with the Iowa football team or whoever won the Big Ten to go to the Rose Bowl. I got to travel with the teams to go to the Final Four and meet all the athletic directors and coaches in the Midwest and in the teams that they played. And so I met some people later that were running a regional airline, Brit Airways. They offered me a job to come help them build a carrier. And they had 3 boys and a girl, and they wanted to leave it to them if they could. And so I told Bill and Marilyn Britt, I'll be glad to come work with you and help you get the boys and your daughter to where they need to be. But if they can't get there, you're sitting with a guy who can run it for you. I had confidence in myself and in what I was doing. And at the time, I had a lot of background and experience in the airline business. Over the next half a dozen or so years, we built that into where we had 72 arrivals and departure slots in O'Hare, 37 in St. Louis. But Bill and Marilyn Britt sold it to Don Burr at People Express. He wasn't interested in the people or the company at Brit Airways. He was interested in the slots we had. Mm-hmm. So I decided I couldn't drink the Kool-Aid from the folks at People Express. It wasn't a fit for me. And I told a lot of people that I'd hired that had helped me build Brit Airways that I knew people if they needed help and they wanted to go somewhere else, but I was going to pursue other opportunities. So I'd met a man in Indianapolis named Joe Massotti. He was head of Shearson Lehman Hutton. And he said, Bill, you know, you can do well for yourself and your clients if you just work half the time. I said, that sounds pretty good, Joe. And so he said, tell me which 12 hours a day you want to work, son. I listened to Joe and to my coaches and leaders there. And they taught me, Bill, turn your clients into friends instead of your friends into clients, and you'll do well. And I did. And over the next 30 plus years, I was the number 1 broker in America for 3 different broker dealers. I built businesses 3 different times. And when I had Gammon Financial, I had an offer for it for a couple of $1 million. We went out to dinner with the guy who was making me the offer, had a nice steak, and came home, talked about it, and all my wife and I could smell was fish. He wanted to take advantage of my clients instead of help my clients. Mm-hmm. And I always had the philosophy that if someone walked in my door or called on my phone, when our meeting was over, they felt better about what we visited about than they did when we started. And so I tried to underpromise and overdeliver. And I helped a lot of folks make millions of dollars. And my business thrived. So once I retired 2 years ago from the financial business, I came up to my office here that we're sitting in right now. And I thought how I wanted to spend the rest of my life and invest it. And I looked at the things I had accomplished and how a lot of people, teachers, coaches, leaders, employees, because you can learn from anyone, had helped me along my journey. And I thought the best way to spend the rest of my life was to help folks like you and me and the people listening to us achieve what they wanted to achieve, like I've done and you've done. And so that's my story and where I am. And I can do it as good as anyone on the planet because I have become a mentor, coach, and a sage when it comes to businesses. And I have a toolbox that's almost unlimited to bring things to the table or other people. And if I run into a situation to where I'm not equipped to handle it, I probably know someone I can direct or someone else to get the job done. And I do that rather than try to take that on. That's pretty much the 30,000 foot view.
Well, Bill, I love that you talk about coaches because it's interesting as people, a lot of us enjoy watching sports on TV and we have our opinions about the the team coach, and if he's going to take them to the championship, and it's coach this, coach that in football, and NBA, baseball, but not too often do people talk about coaches in business. And you referenced that you listened and felt coachable and found coaches at a very young age. I think oftentimes people miss how important that can be to your own business success.
I think the sooner we put an open mind and the acceptance of others' ideas in our toolbox, the better we can equip and map our mind to be equipped to deal with the things that life will put in our pathway. And what I have found is there's always someone there to reach out to. It may be a person, it might be an author. There's a wealth of information in books and on the internet for people to reach out to and use as self-help if they seek it. And if they seek it, doing it themselves that way is very honorable, but it's the slow way. Because if you have a coach to talk to and to bounce things off of and to share ideas and co-create ideas with, and the journey that you need to go from where you are to where you want to go, and then that person holds your hand and lights the path and keeps you on that path, you keep the positive attitude rather than the negative one, because life's journey is a long one. Mm-hmm. And in that journey, if you look at from where you are to where you'd like to end up, it's a good ways most of your life. But if you look from where you are to the next milepost and you make it into little places and you celebrate those victories along the way, it's easier to stay positive and move forward faster. It's sort of like if you took a notepad and you divided it north and south in half and east and west in half in 4 quadrants. There are only 4 things that you can do to change anything. That's stop doing something, start doing something, do more of something, or do less of something. And if you look at those things and you list out the things that you're doing and you put them in those 4 corners, you can start by looking at the things that you should stop, because that'll free up the time you need to do more of the things that you should. And it's a simple way to help folks, because when they look at it, they're looking at it all at once. And so you first have to get it down to what's manageable and then to what they can give up, because people don't like to give up habits, even the bad ones. But you have to help them find that way and that path in order for them to achieve what they want to achieve. Simple, but complex.
Yeah, sometimes we're our own worst enemies. We get in our way and we want to do more of the bad stuff and less of the good stuff to get our goals accomplished. I want to shift gears a little bit to business, which I know we're on the periphery of that as it relates to coaching, but can you talk about your philosophy on the 3 cornerstones of a successful business?
Well, when you look at successful businesses, they usually have a vision to get them from where they are to where they want to go. So they know the destination. And then they have a plan to get from here to there. And then they have a way to implement it and monitor it such that they can achieve what they want to achieve. And whether that business happens to be a plumbing business or a coaching business or a manufacturing business, those things are keys to accomplishing it. And those things need people that are competent and capable to do it. But when you start a business yourself, you draw the org chart and you put your name in all the boxes until you got it